All right, today we're going to take a guided tour of the Pega Platform 25 Studios. The goal here is to really get our heads around how Pega makes building powerful applications not just possible, but actually simpler and faster for everyone. So yeah, let's just dive right in.
Okay, so here's what we've got on the agenda. First, we'll touch on why Pega's approach to app development is, well, smarter. Then, we'll look at the blueprint, the actual thinking before you build. And then, the main event. We're going to tour the studios, App Studio, Dev Studio, and the specialist ones. Pretty straightforward. So let's kick things off with the big why. Why does a platform like Pega even exist in the first place? Well, it really all boils down to one thing: finding a much smarter way to build a software that basically runs our world.
And let's be honest, we've all been there, right? Building those big, enterprise-grade applications, it can be incredibly complex. It's often slow, a total slog, and there's this massive gap between what the business folks are asking for and what the IT team can actually deliver. And that's exactly where the Pega platform comes in. It's a low-code platform, which is a huge deal. It means you're not writing every single line of code from scratch. Instead, the whole focus shifts to building agile, goal-oriented apps. And really, the key takeaway here is that it's all about three things: saving a ton of time, getting business and IT to finally speak the same language, and, this is a big one, reusing work you've already done.
Okay, but before you just start clicking and dragging and building stuff, you need a plan, right? Pega's all about this blueprint-first approach. It's about thinking things through, so you're absolutely sure you're building the right thing right from the get-go.
And this really breaks it down into four key things you have to think about. First up, the goal. And we're not talking about a rigid step-by-step process, we're talking about the outcome. What does success actually look like? Second, the people. Who's going to be using this thing? You define your user types, a manager, a customer service rep, so that each person only sees what they need to see. Third, what's the data? What information do we need to actually get the work done? And finally, reusability. This is huge. How do we build things today so that we can reuse those pieces and go way faster on our next project?
All right, so now we've got our blueprint. It's time for the fun part. Let's go visit the workshops where all the magic happens. Pega officially calls them authoring portals, but let's just call them the studios. It's way cooler.
So, the platform is broken down into four main studios, and each one is tailor-made for a specific job and a specific kind of user. We've got App Studio, Dev Studio, Admin Studio, and Prediction Studio. Let's kick off our tour with the first stop.
And here we are. First stop, App Studio. Honestly, the best way to picture this place is like a high-tech, super efficient assembly line for your application. Everything here is designed for speed, for visual development, which makes it way more accessible to a whole range of people, not just the deep tech folks.
And this is what I think is so cool. Look who's working here. It's not just your typical hardcore coders. Nope, you've got business analysts, you've got citizen developers, front-end devs, even data engineers. It's really designed to be the collaborative heart of the whole platform. So in App Studio, the main thing you're building with are called case types. Just think of these as the fundamental building blocks for getting work done. They're like reusable templates for any business process you can imagine. Something like onboard a new hire or process an insurance claim. And to make sure this app is actually built for, real human beings, you use personas. They're basically just visual stand-ins for your different user groups. Customers, employees, managers, you name it. They help you figure out who gets to see what, making sure the experience is perfectly tailored for each person.
So, when you put it all together, what does it mean? It means App Studio is all about creating a shared language. It's the bridge that lets business experts and tech builders finally work together effectively on the same project in the very same tool. That's a game changer.
Okay, let's keep this tour moving. If App Studio is our assembly line, where does it get its parts from? Well, our next stop is Dev Studio. Think of this as the pro toolkit, the place where all the high-performance, custom parts are engineered.
So welcome to Dev Studio. This isn't the assembly line. This is the advanced engineering lab. This is where your senior developers, your experts, they come here to forge those really powerful, sometimes complex and super reusable components that, you guessed it, will later be used back on the App Studio assembly line. This table does a really great job of showing the difference. See, on one side, you've got App Studio. It's perfect for the high-level application design, sorting out the user interface, handling straightforward business rules. But then you look at the other side, Dev Studio. That's where you go for the heavy lifting, the complex business logic, creating reusable functions from scratch, and handling all those advanced data and integration configurations. And that right there, that's the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Dev Studio is for building the foundation, the complex, reusable parts. App Studio is for assembling those parts into the finished application. It's like one team builds the engine and the other team builds the car around it. They work together.
All right, we're heading to the final stops on our tour now. 2 very specialized studios. These are built for some super specific but absolutely critical roles that keep your applications running and make them smarter.
So we've got Admin Studio, which you can just think of as the control room. This is for your system admins who are monitoring the health of the whole system. And then you have Prediction Studio, which is like the R&D lab. This is where data scientists get to work with AI and machine learning to make your apps genuinely intelligent.
So inside that control room, Admin Studio, your sysadmins are totally focused on system health. They're watching performance metrics, managing resources like nodes, and just generally overseeing all the background jobs that keep the entire platform humming along smoothly.
And at the same time, over in the R&D lab, the data scientists in Prediction Studio are doing some amazing stuff. They're managing the entire AI lifecycle, from building predictive models to managing huge datasets. And what's the goal? Ultimately, it's about predicting customer behavior so you can create way better outcomes.
And that really brings our tour full circle, doesn't it? The whole idea behind the Pega platform and all these different studios is actually pretty simple, but it's so powerful. It's about giving the right tool to the right person for the right job, all on one unified platform where everyone can actually work together.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote from the official documentation says it all. The best practice is to do as much work as you possibly can in App Studio. Stay in that visual, collaborative space, and only switch over to Dev Studio when you need to handle those really complex configurations or build advanced solutions.
So, as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with a question to think about. Your next project, that next big idea you have. Now that you've had the tour and you know the layout of the factory, which studio would you start in? Thanks for joining me on this tour.